Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and those of you joining us online. Welcome to tonight's Community Town Hall. On behalf of Garrison Commander Colonel David Stewart, Garrison Command Sergeant Major Daniel Hopkins, and Deputy to the Garrison Commander, Mr. Sean Lahane. Welcome to the Community Town Hall. At this time, we'll go over the agenda. We will begin with your welcome and update from Garrison Commander. Then we will present some awards, hear updates from Command Sergeant Major Daniel Hopkins, then receive an ICE report from our last quarter, all those answered questions that you guys had, and then follow up with finally the Q&A session at the close of the meeting. Okay, without further ado, introducing Garrison Commander Colonel Stewart.
All right, good evening, everybody. I want to thank you all here in the classroom and all those that are out there on Facebook land, and welcome you to the quarterly town hall. I'm Colonel Stewart. For those that don't know me or haven't met me, but I'm glad that everybody's joined us here today. This is important to us because it's an opportunity to engage with the family of families here on Fort Belvoir and to kind of hear what's on your mind, things that you want to communicate to us that don't necessarily have a chance to do based off of other platforms and other engagements. So these types of events are really important to get that dialogue established, to make sure we have clear communication, and it's a chance for us to, with the team here, to kind of show you what's going on, and so answer some of your questions. So as you can see with the agenda that you just saw, there's going to be some presentations that are front-loaded, and we'll move through those relatively quickly because I'm sensitive to everybody's time. I know everybody has a lot to do, and I don't want to, take you guys past or take the team past 19:30 tonight. So we'll move through those relatively quickly because the main event, we want to make sure we have plenty of time to be able to answer questions and have that, back and forth dialogue, so we can hear kind of all the concerns that you may have here tonight. Just real quick, I just wanted to introduce, we have a special guest here today, Mr. Kerry Dimmick. He's the principal of Mount Vernon High School. So he's gonna go give us a short presentation on what's what in the school, and also talk about some special initiatives, including some advanced courses that students can take there at the high school. So I'm glad to have him on board with us this evening. In addition to that, we have various subject matter experts from all of the different directorates in the room today. So the SMEs are here to be able to dive deep into the questions that you guys might have and provide some answers moving forward. And just for the sake of time, I'll go and introduce everybody just so you know who's available tonight with this conversation. First of all, I got Mr. Chris Clark. He's the director of DPTMS. I have Ms. Tracy Cavender. She's Plans, Analysis, and Integration Office, PIO. Mr. Matt Conlon, Chief of Military Housing. Ms. Sandra Davis, our Ombudsman. Ms. Jennifer Watkins, the Villages at Belvoir, and she has several team members with her today. Also, we have Ms. Bridget Pilgrim from the Garrison Safety Office. Mr. Kevin Rennick, DHR. Mr. George Dixon, DFMWR. And obviously, to my right, I have my Command Sergeant Major Hopkins in attendance, as well as my Deputy Garrison Commander, Sean Lahane. So there are several SMEs that are here in the audience to help address any questions or concerns that you may have. And just one plug, I know we also have several mayors, community mayors that are here in the room today, so I want to thank them for their attendance. That's a volunteer position to help bridge the gap between the communities and the installation. So we treasure their input and everything they do for Fort Belvoir. So just want to acknowledge them tonight. And then finally, before we actually get into the presentation, I just wanted to take time out to recognize two individuals. One of the LOEs for us, one of the key sticking points in the Army is people. It's all about people. So when we have individuals that go above and beyond in our service to the nation, as well as Fort Belvoir and our service members and our families, we want to take some time out to make sure we recognize those achievements and everything that they're doing for all of us. So with that being said, I appreciate it if we have Major Smith, the Doe Creek Mayor, and Master Sergeant Mr. Guzman to come forward.
So, as we go through this, please remain in your seats as we publish the order, please.
Military Outstanding Volunteer Service Medal is awarded for these two individuals as they served as the principal liaison contributing to the development and implementation of recreational, social activities, and community projects that significantly enhance the quality of life for residents. Their relentless dedication to duty and unwavering advocacy for the residents led to the resolution of several maintenance and service orders, considerably improving living conditions within their village. Through their efforts, they fostered a sense of camaraderie and unity, making life on Fort Belvoir more enjoyable and strengthening the bond within the military community. Signed, Colonel David J. Stewart, Garrison Commander.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. All right, let's move in. Okay, so starting off, resilient community. So we have 4 lines of effort here at the Garrison, and one of them is resilient community. It's something that we strive to get that right, because we want to make sure that the family of families here at Fort Belvoir have a great quality of life, have all the support and resources needed so that you can carry on and do what you do on a daily basis, whether that's where you're employed, whether that's at the house, whether that's taking care of children. It's all important. It's important to us that we are providing that support structure for you all to be successful and for you guys to be happy. So, we just wanted to kind of highlight there. We have several different initiatives that you can see on the screen to help support that initiative. One of them we kind of just touched on here with the mayor program. That's been a huge success. We didn't always have that in place, and we kind of noticed there was a little bit of a communication gap between the different communities and the Garrison staff. So we wanted to establish that entry point to kind of improve that dialogue back and forth between the two. You can see some other ones. Some of these are near and dear to your heart. Obviously, the mold situation has been something that's existed for a long time now. I think we've got a good handle on it. We still see examples of that showing up in our facilities and our housing. Every once in a while, we normally get about 1 or 2 every couple of weeks, where we have to displace residents in order to take care of that. But we continue to stay on top of that and try to be preventive about that. So there should be messaging out there on what you can do to help us, control the mold problem. Other engagements that we look for, the community luncheon, again, is another opportunity to engage with partners. It's another opportunity to engage both on the installation and off the installation, because it's all about communication. So as long as everybody's tracking kind of what's going on and what's important, and we can kind of synchronize on priorities and that sort of thing, it's valuable to be able to provide the best support and services that we can. And then last one there is spirituality. So we're always looking at new initiatives, new types of events to provide the community to, again, increase the resiliency, to give our children augmentation in what they're doing in the schools, what they can be doing in the house, and then what we can be providing as an installation to, again, just better the quality of life. So just wanted to kind of lead off with that one there, because it's all about people, and it's all about families, and we value that. This slide here kind of highlights some of the things that have happened most recently. Just to list a few here. There are many other ones that we didn't put on the slide, but again, these are just some of the highlights. Obviously, starting off there with the Veterans Day observance, we're fortunate to have Lieutenant General Eichler come out and preside over that event. He had a really, really great message. We had a great turnout. We had over 15 different organizations. This is the first time we did that. We brought in other organizations to kind of to improve that interaction between the folks on the installation and some of our community partners that exist on the installation and both off the installation as well. And he had a really great message about carrying forward the Army message. We are our best recruiters, so he wanted to kind of emphasize us all doing our part to talk to the citizens out there on the street, the young children coming up through the school systems, on all the great things that the Department of Defense and the military have to offer. So great message there from the G1. Purple Star Schools, we had an opportunity to go out and attend one of the partnering events off the installation, where they recognized all of the schools in the Fairfax County that were awarded the Purple Star designation, and that's military-friendly schools. So there's certain criteria that each school has to make, but really it's they have these different programs and there's infrastructure within the school that reach out to military families and help embrace and welcome new students, military families, and students that come to the area. So it's a great opportunity. It's 96, it's growing. Our school here on the installation was re-awarded that designation, so they continue to do great things there. Like leading into the holiday season, we had a whole string load of events for the families and single soldiers to participate. You know, obviously it's a wonderful time of year where everybody, most people have fun and enjoy that. So we wanted to make sure we keep those sorts of activities first and foremost as we enter the season. And that's just a few. We had the Santa visits, we had the fire trucks going through the community. Hopefully those were great events that you guys participated in. We had the tree lighting, we had the tree giveaway at the Winterfest. So a lot of great events leading into the holiday season. The last one there, the miscalculation of the gates. So we had that situation with the first week, the 15th, 16th of December, where we drew down to one gate. And that was a factor. The backstory of it is that's a factor of manpower. So I think everybody knows by the day-to-day gate situation with two being open 24/7 and two at peak hours of the day is a factor of manpower. That day and that plan to decrease that manning during the week is also a factor of manpower. So we did an analysis leading up to that decision. We looked back at precedent. So what did that week look like in terms of people coming on and off post? Because we monitor by car every single day. So we could go back and look at history to see what did it look like last year? What did it look like 2 years ago? And based off of that analysis that the team did, we thought it would be okay to be able to draw down to allow the guards that we do have to take use or lose leave, which had to be done by 31 December, or to do training. Because our guard manpower, we don't have the opportunity to do the required training for our guards because they are working. We don't have the bandwidth to let them go do that and then still man the gate. So we thought that was a lower risk to take the holiday, leading into the holiday period, to be able to reduce the manning on the gate so that they can do those two things. And obviously we were a little bit off in our calculation. We had some things that we were trying to do to facilitate that, to mitigate the traffic. Some of them were successful and some of them definitely were not, which caused some of that traffic backlog. I think as we were watching it happen and saw that, hey, this wasn't going to work as it started to back up to the highway and down one, that's when we adjusted and went to opening the second gate. But again, by that time, it had already built up. So it was trying to now prevent it from getting worse and to kind of walk it back so that we can reduce the traffic. But we got some lessons learned there. We got some things that we're working from January so that we can alleviate and hopefully prevent us getting into a manpower situation where we have use or lose leave at the last minute. So I think that's one of our lessons learned. So hopefully that'll be correct. And then last thing I just want to say, to finish out the year with bowling to the new year. So we had a New Year event at the bowling alley to take us into 2025, which is a really, really good event. That's an outstanding facility. If you haven't been there, I'd ask you to consider that, on one of your fun outings out to go by and participate in the bowling alley, because that was a great event that we had on New Year's Eve there. Moving down to security, civilian access to the installation. I mean, there's nothing new there. Again, that decision to restrict access to installation was based off of an assessment that was done back in July, looking back 4 months at who was accessing the installation. And when we did that analysis and we found that there were individuals on the installation that did not have a reason to be here, and two, that had derogatory information in their background. i.e. they were not good people and should not have been on installation. And we looked at that specific incident that led us to start that analysis, and we looked back and we saw there was lots of incidences where there are people on Fort Belvoir that shouldn't have been here. So priority for us is the security and safety of everybody that lives, works, and plays on Fort Belvoir. So the decision was made at that point that we need to better control who has access. Understand that in that decision making, there were some second and third order effects that made it difficult for what everybody was accustomed to. You know, deliveries, Uber drivers, all of that stuff. And, you know, we acknowledged that, and then it became a drill. We needed to make sure we mitigate some of the impacts and effects. And I think we did a good job about remedying all of that to this point. Every once in a while, we still get incidents, onesies and twosies that crop up that we have to address, but they are now they're the anomaly and not the norm. And then the one thing that we continue to work is just the delivery thing, you know, making sure that not the main vendors, but the sub-tier vendors have some sort of pool of drivers that can access the installation to help reduce some of that friction with the delivery service. And again, the team is working it, and I acknowledge I'm in the same boat. I've had stuff delivered. I've had to go to the gate to attempt to get somebody on unsuccessfully myself. So it happens. I get it. You know, but you know, we're trying to work through some of those challenges there. Talked about guard force. I mean, we have what we have. We are very aggressive about recruiting and retention. But it's just a challenge. We're in the National Capital Region. I got to compete with not only agencies and businesses off the installation. I got organizations on the installation that take my manpower. So, you know, but we're trying to get creative and think of ways to think outside of the box to attract talent and to retain talent. Everything from direct hire to increasing or augmenting guard pay. We're doing everything we can. Trust me, we're doing everything we can. And hopefully over time we'll get there. The good news is, if there is good news, is it's not getting worse. It's just really not getting better. We're kind of at a steady state and have been at these numbers pretty steadily for the past 4 months. And now we just got to be able to, you know, get some improvement. And, you know, once we get more guard manpower, then the hours get increased, gates get open, that sort of thing. But that's another priority of ours, and we are working that aggressively. Moving down into safe communities, you know, we have done some things both from a operational perspective as well as a physical perspective. Again, the crosswalks that we added, the lighting that we added over there by Specker Gym and the stores over there, I think is a good news story. And we'll continue to do that. We get funding amount of funding every year that we kind of work these individual projects into the structure of what we get to improve in terms of facilities throughout the year. So that's just one of them that we got to. There'll be additional ones that we work throughout the year. The winter weather process, DPTMS will touch on this later. But you know, with the pending storm, the storm that just happened last week, you know, obviously we saw it coming, so we were able to do some mitigating measures to alleviate some of the impacts of the snow. The team does a really good job about getting out in front of it and doing the mission analysis leading up to the event to make sure that we have all the resources available to mitigate the impacts of those types of storms. And they did the same thing this week, and he'll talk through the process about how we come to the decision making here in a subsequent slide. And then the last thing, notification, just another plug for communication pieces, DoD alert. That's how we present information to the families here on installation in terms of contingencies and that sort of thing. It kind of leads into this slide. So just want to promote that. You got to sign up. You got to be, you know, on the team to play the game. So just encourage you download this capability so that you make sure that you have the latest and greatest information, specifically when it comes to emergency notifications. And if we can go to the next slide, just another plug for the overall communication picture. So what you see on the slide there, that's kind of the footprint and how we engage the communities. Just want to foot stop. Facebook is the primary official way that we communicate information. Now we have these other platforms that are also on here as well. So the more the merrier. So if you're not on one, there is secondary and other ways to get the information out. But that's the primary one. And I say that for two reasons. One, I know there's a lot of different information platforms out there, both formal and informal. That's where the accurate garrison information is going to be provided to you. Some of the other social media platforms are word of mouth. They're individuals, what they feel about things. It's not necessarily accurate information. It's oftentimes ill-informed. So even if you do use one of those other media platforms, I ask you to follow that up with one of the official ones that you see in front of you to get accurate information instead of the rumor mill. Can you go back one, please? And I just want to highlight one thing in the top right, the My Army Post app. That's something that we talked when we did this last time. It was coming, now it's here. So I ask you all to download that. Another great way in terms of getting information. It's new on the street. There may be a couple bugs that come with any new platform that gets introduced, but just want to make sure that you all have that and add that to your arsenal to be able to get the latest grades when it comes to communication and messaging. Okay, next slide. All right, so I'm going to introduce Miss Tracy Calendar from Pio Shop. She's going to talk through ICE. So, ICE is a outstanding platform and to be able to communicate concerns that you may have, and both good and bad. I know ICE generally kind of has a negative connotation to it. The mental model is that it's a negative thing. It's not negative or positive. It's a thing. It's a way to communicate with the garrison staff. And we read every one of those ICE comments, and we look at them in the front office of the garrison, every one of those ICE comments. So again, I'd encourage everybody to use those, not just for negative reasons, positive too, but again, it's another way to get direct feedback. And I also encourage you, is to leave your contact information. All right, so that's a way that we can respond directly to you and answer your concern. And at this time, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Tracy.
Thank you, sir. So as the commander said, ICE Interactive Customer Evaluation is the primary way that the garrison receives feedback from customers to let us know how we're doing in our services. Either I say positive, negative, neutral. We want to hear all of it. So this slide just shows how we performed from 1 October through 31 December. Just so you know, we monitor 103 services across 58 service providers. And as the commander said, every time a comment comes in, we get a notification to let us know it came in so we can read it and action it accordingly, including our command leadership is on there. So they see everything. We received 663 submissions, 582 of which answered the "Are you satisfied?" question. That question is really important because that helps me basically organize the performance trends, so please answer that. We finished at a 75% satisfaction rate. Our goal is 90%, so clearly we have some work to do there. And then you can see how we performed in October, November, and December respectively, with a little bit of a decline there at the end of December. To kind of glean where focus areas are, we monitored some common concerns, so you can see the breakdown there on the right. The biggest concerns being the gates, employee attitude, quality of service, communication, and condition of facility. Commander already covered the gates for us, so what we're doing for employee attitude, quality of service, and poor communication, we have a customer service training called Operation Excellence, OPEX for short, that we're trying to get all garrison personnel through, so hopefully that will kind of help improve some of the customer service experience there. And then of course, for condition of facility, please continue to submit your work orders so that we can work on those by priority. Next slide, please. Then here, as Commander said, we'd like to hear positive comments too. It's really important for our workforce to know that they're doing a good job, so please submit any kudos you have for them. We just wanted to highlight a couple here. So for the Transition Assistance Program, primarily their professionalism and improvement to transition success. For CYS, specifically acknowledging caregivers or administration staff, as well as the activities that have been offered. For the DEERS ID card office, flexible, kind, how fast and professional they are. And then the villages at Belvoir staff, also acknowledging specific staff members or the expediency of work. And then for some negative comments, we've already covered the gates. Villages at Belvoir acknowledging some work could be done for the work order efficiency as well as the communication back out to community members, and with hours of operation specifically at the pool, the field house, and the teen center. Unfortunately, those are kind of resource and or demand restricted, but we are tracking your concern. Thank you.
Okay. All right, let me turn it over to Commander Hopkins.
So first, just to jump on Ms. Tracy's comment about ICE, like that's important information. And again, I want to stress that we read every comment, and I mean every comment. But I can't give you feedback if you have a question if you don't leave your contact info. So please, we definitely encourage you to leave contact info. We leave it to the service provider to try to respond, but sometimes you may get a phone call from myself, the commander has called people. It just depends on what the situation is and what's going on. And if you give us something that we can respond to you on, we will. If you give us something and there's no response to it, but you leave your contact info, we're still going to reach out to you. It's important to us, and it also lets us see ourselves. Just some barracks updates. I know a lot of the community, family housing, and you live out on the economy, but we do have a large population of single soldiers who live in the barracks. We have 2 barracks buildings that are about to come online within our compound, McCrae Barracks compound. February 5th will be the ribbon cutting for that, and we'll be adding 112 rooms to our inventory, which will be awesome for those of you that have soldiers that live in the barracks. If you don't live in the barracks, but you have soldiers who may live in the barracks, reach out, let us know. I'll give you a tour of the new barracks. We're open for tours this month. I will tell you, if you've never been inside of our barracks and you have soldiers, come see how they live. If you've lived in barracks at Fort Liberty, Fort Cavazos, Fort Campbell, wherever, they fail in comparison to where your soldiers get to live here on Fort Belvoir. It's an awesome place. They have their own personal showers and everything. It's a great space, and I encourage you to come check them out. One other thing with the barracks, we have a meet and greet tomorrow. So for those of you that have soldiers, it's for soldiers that live in the barracks. It's a community. We do the village meet and greets. We also do it for our barracks. Our barracks are part of our community. So if you have soldiers that live in the barracks, please encourage them to come out tomorrow night and see the command team, sit down with us, break bread with us. We'll have some light refreshments and snacks there at the boss building. Come out and ask questions. We'll talk about the barracks. If you have any questions about that, if you have any questions about what's going on. In addition, we'll have some updates for boss. And as I discuss updates for boss, Stefan Brown, I'm going to hand it over to Son Brown to give us some updates on boss.
Hey everybody, my name is Stefan Brown, the boss president for Fort Belvoir, for all the service members on Fort Belvoir. And this is Corporal Eugene Clark. She's the barracks manager. A couple updates for boss, better opportunities for single service members. We do have a couple events coming up. Tomorrow's a meet and greet with the command group. We're going to have some pizza, express some concerns, issues with the barracks, or bringing ideas to light. We're going to be doing that from 1800 to 1900 tomorrow at the boss building. It's 6099. If you look at the PowerPoint, it's going to have my address, my telephone number, and email. If you're in the command group, I highly encourage you to take that down, please, and just spread the wealth. If you don't have appointment orders for your service members or boss representative, please, I encourage you to get somebody. At the end of the day, it is decreasing the morale and welfare of service members, not knowing what boss is. I'm trying to increase that, and so is the Sergeant Major. Taco Tuesdays, it's going to be on the 28th. It's free. Anybody can come out. Highly encourage you to do that. Typically do brisket and pulled pork. So I do a lot of smoking, a lot of meat, so come out, enjoy it. It's free. Again, highly encourage you to come check it out. It's at the boss building. And yeah, if anybody's got any questions, I'll be here afterwards.
Thanks, Son Brown. I just want to take a quick moment. If you're not aware, the Army does the CFC campaign through the 15th of January. There's a QR code there. It's an opportunity to provide donations to your given NFE, and provide just support to all different. I think there's over 10,000 different organizations that you can donate to. We have until the 15th to continue for individuals to sign up for donations. So please, if you feel so inclined, please go in and see. Never know what you're passionate about. May have an opportunity to receive some donations for that. With that, sir, I'd like to turn it back over to Colonel Stewart.
All right, thanks. We're going to go ahead and jump into the presentations now. We're going to start off with Mr. Dimmick and talk to us about Mount Vernon High School. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I want to first and foremost thank you for having me here. As a son of a Air Force veteran and a brother of a Navy veteran, thank you for what you do. Sincerely appreciate your role in supporting our country, but also supporting our students. And I'm very happy to be at a high school where we have 305 military-connected families. So thank you for having me here tonight. As the Colonel mentioned earlier, I wanted to come here to start a dialogue about the great things that are happening at Mount Vernon High School. I believe in transparency. Our schools are glass houses. And as I transitioned to Mount Vernon this past July, it was really concerning to me that we have 385 military families that chose not to attend Mount Vernon High School, but have chosen to attend other high schools. So I really wanted to start a dialogue and start a conversation and maybe reestablish a relationship that may have been fractured a little bit over the past years. As you can see very quickly, we are a very diverse high school. We are a mid-sized high school, we're a little over 1,800 students. We are currently sitting at about 50% of our students are identified as Hispanic or Latinx, with 20% of our students being African American and Caucasian, and the rest of the students subcategorized, as you can see, with Asian or multi-race. As you can see, about halfway down on the left, we do have about 61% of our students considered ELL, and that's emerging language learners. Those are students who have newly immigrated to our country and haven't really mastered the English language yet, so they're in support classes. And right now, 61% of our students are either in that current program or recently have moved out of that program. You can also see in the middle that about 65% of our students are identifying as those living below the poverty line, and they're qualifying for free and reduced meals, is what FARM stands for. And I want to emphasize that that's the students who have identified as meeting that need. We think that that number is a lot larger as we're starting to see more and more economically disadvantaged students coming into Mount Vernon High School. As I said, we do have 305 current military-connected families or active guard duty families, and we are very proud to be a Purple Star Initiative school. We take that much pride. And we have developed a really small, tight family of our military students, and that's something that we elevate, and it's really important to us as we enter every school year. I'm really here to talk about a misnomer that's out in the community, that our students don't have access to rigorous academic programs, which is why some of the students allegedly have chosen to go to other high schools. We do have a globally renowned international baccalaureate program, and because I only have 5 minutes, I've left some handouts in the back so you can read a little bit more about that. But that is a very high and rigorous program. Our students can choose to go fully degree bound, so they get a degree, an international baccalaureate degree, or they can get a certificate, which is more of like an a la carte type menu. But the students do have access to that. We right now have about 590 students that are sitting in at least one international baccalaureate class, and we'll be taking that test at the end of the year. We also offer dual enrollment, and what that is, it's a student who's dually enrolled with Fairfax County Public Schools, but also Northern Virginia Community College. So students are accessing college courses while still in high school. Our goal is to get students an associate degree as they get a Fairfax County and a Virginia public school degree. That gives kids a lot of opportunities when they leave high school, and we're really trying to grow that program. Right now, we only have about 75% of our available seats full, and it's one of my initiatives to make sure that we have 100% of our students accessing that program. We are a governor's school, and what that means is our students do have the opportunity to apply for residential programs over the summer, where students in 10th and 11th grade go and basically go to summer camp, and they're able to access higher level academic programs and fine arts programs over the summer. And as mentioned earlier, we do have a very proud Marine Corps Junior ROTC program. We now are fully staffed with that. We have 2 instructors, and it is our goal to continue to grow that program. And it's something we're very proud of, and our 2 instructors are very proud of what we're doing. It's more of a leadership program. So for families that are interested in that, yes, we are military connected, but a lot of our students choose to go into fire and rescue or go into type more like civil servant leadership roles as they leave public schools or they go to higher institutions. So, as I said, I only have 5 minutes, but I'm going to be here for Q&A at the end. But I do really appreciate the opportunity of being here, and as the Colonel said, starting a dialogue about the great things that are happening in Mount Vernon High School. So, thank you.
Go ahead, next slide. All right, we're going to continue on with Housing Division. Colin?
Hi, my name is Matthew Conlon. I'm Chief of the Military Housing Office. We're broken into 3 branches, the RCLO, HSO, and Barracks Management. We provide a lot of services that some people don't really know what we do. We're a primary interface with the villages, between the garrison and the villages, actually between the Army and the villages. We also provide resident advocacy and dispute resolution and project oversight. We talk with them every single day. Housing service, we provide a lot of services that there's far more than I could even list up there. Our rental partnership program, which is a reduced rent program for different apartment complexes. So last time I counted, we had 23 properties off post that were partners with us in this program. What they do is they give a discount on the rent and eliminate a lot of the fees that you would normally be charged. They also handle a lot of our in and out processing, our annual basic allowance for housing, or BAH, data collection effort, which is a major effort we do every year to update BAH rates. And it's actually done across DOD. All services do it every installation. And then we provide off-post rental support. So we have a couple of different programs, A-House and Homes, and rental referral services that we provide. And coming soon, actually, as of 1 January, we have a notary public for the Commonwealth of Virginia in our office. So if you have a soldier that needs notary service, I'm now a notary. Barracks Management Office, we handle everything to do with the barracks, in and out processing, take care of our soldiers, facility maintenance and operations, and furnishings. And then we also do out-year development and planning. And I'll come back to that in a second. Next slide, please. So I'm not going to go through and list all the numbers here, but these are the numbers for barracks personnel. If they have, they want to talk to the barracks office. We have right now we have a vacancy in our barracks manager position. We're just waiting for the cert list, and then we'll make a selection and hopefully get somebody on board here soon. But we do have 2 personnel over in the office that are taken care of, and we're covering down from other divisions, or other branches rather. So when you look down there and you see for assistance with emergency service orders and lockouts. So lockouts is talking about here is if the lock is broken. And in a lot of cases, because our barracks door locks are battery powered, they're not hardwired in. What happens is the battery dies, so that's when you want to call on these. Lose your key card, that's still through the chain of command issue. And I'm going to inject a side note. So when I talked about that planning and programming part of it, we are currently developing a project to replace all of the door locks. And one of the options we're looking at is actually running power to the doors. So these things are installed the way they're supposed to be. We're not having to put batteries in them constantly. So, and with that, I will turn it over to Laura's next.
Good evening. My name is Sandra Davis. I am the Housing Ombudsman for Fort Belvoir. Next slide, please. In addition to the items that are listed here as qualifications to become a mayor, one being the most important being a village of Belvoir resident. In addition to that, being an active duty to be a mayor, but anyone outside of that can be a deputy mayor, and there's certain qualifications for that as well. The mayors meet once a month with the command team, and representatives from the villages. It gives you an opportunity as mayor to build relationships with your neighbors, create a sense of community. Right now, we have 3 openings. I do want to point out that one of the mayors that received the award earlier, Major Smith, is stepping down as the mayor, but we do have his replacements. Here now we have Colonel Choi, if he can raise his hand, and Sergeant Allison, who will be stepping in. So Doe Creek is still in good hands. I'm looking forward to working with both of you. In addition, we did receive a person who will be taking over for Collier, Sergeant First Class Jeffries. Is he here? There he is. Thank you for accepting the call to become a mayor. I'm looking forward to working with you as well. Next slide, please. The 2025 meet and greet schedule is listed. As the commander mentioned, the first one for this year is at the Boss Building. This is actually the first meet and greet we've had for the barracks. I'm really excited about the food. I'm excited about the food. I'm excited about the food. We do have them one a month. Some will be coupled together because of the proximity of the villages together. It's a small, intimate setting. It's somewhat like a town hall meeting, but it's specifically for your village. It's 1 hour from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. You're welcome to bring your children. We do have light snacks there that are provided by the villages. We have reps from the command team and the villages, and it's an opportunity for you to hone in on your village. The positives as well as the concerns. We do have people that come and they tell us the great things that the villages are doing for them and how they appreciate what the command team and the garrison are doing for their particular villages. Before we go to the next slide, every year the villages have a friendly competition of Christmas boards. It's an opportunity for the mayors to work with the residents there. They are creative. It's posted at the entrance of the village. Some of you may have seen them as you're going home. There is a friendly competition. Emphasis on friendly. They're judged by the command team, and it gives that village 1 year bragging rights that they have won for that year. And you also receive a gift card. This year, the villages provide a $100 gift card, I believe, to Domino's. Yes, and so that village can have a pizza party to celebrate what they've accomplished. So drum roll, please. The winner for the 2024 is, next slide, Jadwin Luke. So neither one of the village mayors were able to make it tonight, but I'm sure that Gerber Village and Jadwin Luke will probably have some very nice things to say to each other. With that said, I will pass the mic over to, next slide please, Jennifer Watkins with the housing update.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Watkins. I'm the Community Director with the Villages of Belvoir. I'm here to just share a few updates, what's coming in 2025. To include, you'll see the window safety lock installation at all homes, and that's an important project for us as well as, is initiated by the Department of Defense to help ensure the safety of the children living in our homes. We expect to have that completed by the end of Q1 2025, and thank all of our residents for your cooperation in allowing us into your homes to install those locks. Speaking of locks, we are going to launch a new lock installation, probably starting in Woodlawn Village. For the convenience of residents, we'll have a key that will hopefully have a keypad that you can assign your own code to enter your home, give to your babysitter, give to your pet sitter and such. So look forward to announcements on that, and we hope that you definitely see that as an advancement and an enhancement in your living experience with us. We also have great news with the old PX site. Anyone that's been down to the new PX or commissary is familiar with that space that's very empty. We have been given that property, and we're going to be building some new homes there. And with that, we inherited the old pool that everyone has seen closed, as well as a tennis court. And we're going to be looking at what amenities we can put in those areas that our residents will like the best. Basement waterproofing, we have some historical homes as well as other homes within the villages that have basements that occasionally will leak. Some of that is normal with historic homes, so we do have a project to waterproof those as leaks occur or during the actual make-ready process between occupancy. Ductboard replacement, we have a project ongoing to replace some ductboard in homes as they become vacant or during our preventative maintenance visits. If we identify an issue, we will go in and replace those. Outside of those projects, just look forward to continued great resident events. School is out, I believe it is the 29th of the month. We have some fun things going on in our neighborhood centers to help you pass the day with the kids. So be on the lookout for that. And as well, we have a candle making class that quickly filled up with 50 residents. So those that got in, I hope you enjoyed doing that. And if you have ideas for events that you would like to see, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. You can always reach us through our website and through the villages@belvoir@tmo.com. Thank you.
All right, good evening. My name is Gary Branscombe. I'm the Chief Operations for DPHMS here at Garrison. Garrison Command Team wanted me to give just a brief synopsis of how our adverse weather procedures go on. Before I begin, I'd just like to remind everybody that OPM, operating guidance, only applies to those federal agencies that are within the National Capital Beltway system. Prior to any adverse weather, the night prior or the 2000 hours, what we try to do, maybe sooner depending on the intensity of the weather or the timeless of the weather event, DPHMS will convene a CMT crisis management team brief to the garrison commander. Basically what this is, all the directors will gather information from National Weather Service, OPM, NCR COG brief, just local area, schools, government, and road statuses, and we'll give the garrison commander courses of action so he can make an informed decision on the status of Fort Belvoir. Once the garrison commander has made that decision, DPHMS in conjunction with PAO and DFMWR will push out that notification. How we do that is through alerts, social media, the CDC's Child Youth Management System, and we get an email out to your organization's operations cells. Moving on to the right-hand side of the slide, the road clearing. A couple highlights here. I won't get too in-depth on this, but just remember that the snow plowing on the installation will not begin unless there's at least 2 inches of accumulation of snow. The only exception to that is Davison Army Airfield, just for obvious reasons. All right, as it pertains to roads, parking lots, and sidewalks, the garrison does have a predetermined priority list for clearing these areas. Any requests for changes to the list should be directed to the garrison operations centers, and all your operations cells do have that information. If you need that information, you can see me after this and get to you. As for the housing areas, the villages of Belvoir are responsible for clearing the snow and ice in that area. I do highlight on that the villages of Belvoir ask the residents to clear snow and ice from your driveways and the sidewalks from your door to the main sidewalk. Villages of Belvoir will cover everything else. Then for those organizations out there, just one quick reminder that organizations are responsible for clearing the sidewalks up to 50 feet from your front door. And there is a place on 16th Street directly across from the fire station where organizations can get salt and sand free of charge. Any questions, I'll be followed by a safe.
Good evening. How many of you were ready for summer, spring? Raise your hand.
Yes.
Well, winter is here. I just want to provide a few winter safety tips for you to take back and perhaps utilize. Proper planning is the key. When you receive a winter weather advisory and/or winter storm watch, please monitor the weather forecast and updates. Depending on the severity of the weather, plan and adjust your road traveling. Have the necessary tools for cleaning your sidewalks, your windshields. Monitor the time the children are outdoors. I know they're just eager to get out there and make snowmen and have those snow fights, but we want to make sure that they're not out there too long. Check on the elderly or others that may need assistance. And please dress properly for the weather, especially the proper shoes for going out. Next slide, please. For your car, I know everyone in here have had their cars winterized. You have. You have checked your windshield wiper fluid, your tires. I just know all that's been done. I want you to also ensure that you have a winter safety kit in your vehicle. That would include flashlight, blanket, water, first aid kit, just in case you end up being stranded somewhere for only a few minutes. Some of you have experienced that living up in this area. That's all I have for you today. Be safe out there, and please, please, make sure you track it, the weather. Thank you. I will be followed by Mr. Rennick.
Oh, wow. Surprise. Good evening, everyone. Kevin Rennick, Director of Human Resources. Just a couple of updates for you this evening. The Transition Assistance Program. That program is to help facilitate soldiers who are transitioning, separating, or retiring. And just want to point out, or the takeaway from this slide is the calendar of events to assist with employment opportunities. For more information, please reach out to Ms. Duncan, our Transition Services Officer, who can help provide more in-depth information. Next slide, please. The other area that's within the DHR portfolio is the Military Personnel Division. What is important, especially once we transition out of the winter into your summer, spring there, Bridget, for those soldiers and family members who will be on assignment or further assignment orders, it's imperative that you attend the reassignment or the levy briefing. Part of receiving those orders that you need is participating and coming to the levy brief, which is held every second Thursday of each month here in this classroom. For any additional information as it pertains, to the MPD, please reach out to the MPD supervisor, Mr. Russell, who's listed at the end of the slide. Thank you for your opportunity. I'll be followed by Mr. Dixon, DFMWR.
Thank you, Kevin. So before I get started, I just wanted to paint a picture of what happened to us in March of 2020. We're coming up on 5 years. So in MWR, we had a rapid decline of programs and services. I mean, on March 17th, everything shut down. And it has been slow growth ever since then to get back to where we were in March of 2020. And when we talk about hiring, we'll talk about how we used to have 711 employees, and now we only have 475. So we'll get back to that in a minute. But as the boss president talked, some of the events that we have coming up, I want to let you know that we have some new programs that we reopened, and one of those is recreational swimming. Now, we only opened up for one Saturday in the month of January. And again, we're going to do it in the end of January. But we want to get back to where we're doing it every weekend. The challenge we're having is we don't have enough lifeguards. And once we get a full complement of lifeguards, we can do a lot more with our indoor pool. But it comes down to having lifeguards. So in addition to that, we got ballroom dance classes, we've got play morning, we've got the ACS mobile food and vegetable market that's coming, and that's free. So take note of that. And everything can be found at belvoir.armymwr.com for all the specifics, location, time, date, can be found at that website. Newcomers, we just had one yesterday or today. And then at the library, there's some great events going on there. The Cookbook Club, okay, and the Teen Activity Night. It's all going to involve books, but we have a community that utilizes our library. We're one of the top 5 libraries in the Army. When you have 10,000 residents living here, and we have a large population of homeschoolers, they utilize our library. And in addition to that, we have the computer lab too that everybody uses. So that's awesome. And then I'll close with our New York City bus tours. What a great opportunity to run up to New York for a day and see a play, a musical, and just tour New York, and then take a long bus ride home. And trust me, it's long. You're going to be tired when you get home. And then you got to worry about your neighbor who's snoring on the way home. So, something else we're opening, intramural basketball is back. So we're proud to say that, and I've got a flyer here if somebody wants to take a picture of it. But I just want to let you know that it's going to run from January 27th until March 22nd. So, that's a good 8 weeks of basketball going on. So, if your units want to participate, we have that going on, and we look forward to getting that back. So quickly, let's just talk about we're hiring. We could hire right now 100 caregivers in child and youth services today. 100. And the pay is very competitive to what's going on out there. And I just looked up in workinnorthernvirginia.com. Today, there are 89,000 jobs available in Northern Virginia. And so that's who we're competing with on a daily basis. Okay? It's just like the gate guards. It is a constant battle. In February, I think it's the 19th, we're going to have a CYS job fair. And, we're going to ramp up our numbers and get the 2 CDCs that we have closed reopened so that we can take care of your kids. So some of the jobs that we have open: lifeguards, caregivers, animal caretakers, recreation assistants, food and beverage attendants, dog groomers. I mean, we've got a lot out there. And then in the summer too, the golf course will ramp up in its maintenance. For somebody that likes to be outside, working at the golf course is a great place. You'd be out there in the environment. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk about capital purchase minor construction and what we're doing with the monies that we receive from IDS to put back into our Cat C and B programs. And so just to give you an example of what we're doing, at the golf course, we're redoing the bathroom and the locker renovation, restaurant and bar renovation, fairway restoration, and bunker renovations. Much needed at the golf course for those who like to play golf. And even if you just want to go out to the driving range and have some fun, that's a great place to go. At the travel camp, we're going to purchase RV that are towable, behind your big trucks. And people are going to laugh at this, but we're going to buy a custodial van because one of the things that was cut was our custodial services to our fitness centers and some of the other locations throughout MWR. So I need a team that's mobile. We need a team that's mobile that can go anywhere and make sure that facilities are clean, especially after COVID. And then rec lodging, furniture, and those are 12 rooms that we currently have over at the Officers Club, which is currently still under renovation. And I think the next town hall will give an update on the Officers Club. At bowling, so if anybody's familiar with the Brunswick Spark lighting upgrade system, it's almost like cosmic bowling, but it's very interactive on the lanes and up on the ceilings. It's a whole package, and we were just told that we got to upgrade our electrical system. So it's all going to take time. The marina, that's where we do our RV storage, and we're working on a plan to do a travel camp at the marina here in the next 3 years. So, we need mowers at the pet center. We take care of your pets, dogs and cats. And a lot of things that people are asking for are security cameras, so we know what's going on with our pets, and it's all recorded. It's almost like the Child Development Center. First it just started with video. Now we have audio and video at our child development centers, and we know what's going on in those classrooms when kids are in care. And probably one of the better upgrades immediately, supposed to be happening here shortly, is the car wash, which also needs some electrical upgrades, and that's going to be happening soon. So there is a lot going on in MWR, and as each month goes by, we try to do more and more. But if we can fill some of these spaces, we'll be able to do a lot more hours at the pool, a lot more hours at the outdoor pool. I was the old club manager at Fort Cavazos down in Killeen, Texas. I used to have 100 kids lined up outside my door for the 101 days of summer. I miss those days. We can barely get 15, 16 guards, and we're paying over $21 an hour. That's not bad. Some of you in this room remember when it was $2.85. Okay, so, and I'll be standing by afterwards. If you have any questions, please stop by, see me. We got a great team. We care about each and every one of you, the service member and your families, and we are taking care of your families, and that's what we're supposed to do, and that's what we will do. We got great support from our leadership. Thank you.
Just real quick, first, George, thanks for you and your team. Great opportunities. Please take advantage of them. But one thing I do want to go back to real quick is just DHR levy brief. So this month, the levy brief fell on 9 January, which obviously we all know became a day of mourning. So it's going to be this Thursday. So if you were looking to go to the levy brief this month, if you missed the message that came out from DHR, it is this Thursday right here where you're sitting. This Thursday. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We're going to go ahead and move into questions, question and answer. You can see the ROE that's there on the slide. I ask everybody to abide by that so we can get as many turns on the questions as possible. We already jumped on some of the issues a little bit already, the dates, some of the housing stuff, the weather, the storm that came last week. Shout out to Rebecca Fitzpatrick for shoveling that walkway over the vicinity of the school. So kudos to her for that extra effort there. But again, just be respectful with questions, and let's try to get through these as quickly as possible. And we'll also be asking the folks that are out there in virtual land for those as well. So we'll rotate between in the room and out there on Facebook. And that being said, let's go ahead and take the first question.
Okay, we have set up the microphone here in the center. If you have a question, please approach the mic so everybody can hear your question. And let's get started.
Good evening, Center Sergeant Major, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing? I'm Staff Sergeant Bradley. I'm one of the majors for the George Washington Village. All right. Good evening, Sir Sergeant Major, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Staff Sergeant Bradley, George Washington Village. I have a question from a few of the members of my community. We've talked about it before at previous meetings and quarterly sessions about maintenance and maintaining accountability for appointments being met and maintained, work orders being fully completed. And it's been explained before that if a work order has more than one part to it, it will be broadened out into multiple work orders, but the community members don't see that. And so as a mayor, I get a lot of questions about why am I not seeing progress? Why am I not getting the same person out or even any kind of response, and sometimes for days at a time. So I guess my question is more directed toward housing maintenance. What are we doing to better keep the communities informed on that process?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question, sir. Our intent is absolutely to handle every work order that we receive, do it properly, close it to the resident's satisfaction, right? And if we're missing that mark, we need to know about it. So we appreciate when you share with us experiences. What we'd like to know is if residents can come to us with specific scenarios that we can track down where something broke, where there's a break or a problem in the system, so that we can implement a way to fix that globally. Because if it's affecting one resident, it may be affecting others, right? And that's not our intent. So if you are willing and you can get those names together, we can all schedule some time together, sit down with our facility leadership, go through those work orders and find out what's happening. The same technician may not always respond to a work order, just based on scheduling, expertise, and such. So you may have a different technician at your home at different times. Each of our zones have different technicians assigned to those as a normal course of business, so they can get to know residents, they can get to know the homes, what the features in each of those homes happen to be. But each one should be as polite and helpful and professional when they visit the homes. And again, if there's feedback other than that, we want to know about that. But our goal is to take care of those. I can assure you that our team's goal is to take care of those work orders for you. So we welcome the opportunity to address some specific concerns.
Thank you.
I'm going to jump on that just a moment also. I just want to share, just to jump on, not taking anything away from the mics, but I want to share also with your work orders. At the end of your work order, at the end of that day or the next day or whatever, however the system works, it shoots out an email for feedback. If you have 3 or 4 work orders that they service in one day, they're not going to send you 3 or 4 emails, but you're going to get that email. Respond to that email. I will tell you, and you can ask any of the village's staff back there, I test them a lot. I live on base. I will go and I will respond with something that triggers a response to me. And they pick up the phone and they call and check, oh, hey, there wasn't something done right, or you weren't satisfied with something. So we look at surveys like, oh, it's just another survey, we'll pass on it. If your email address that's on your profile for your neighborhood center or whatever, the app that you put in your work order, isn't one you check regularly, I encourage you to change it and actually respond to these surveys. Because these surveys aren't just, hey, tell me if I'm doing good. Right? It's not something for them to count the numbers of how satisfied they are. They actually read the feedback and they get back to you if there's something not done. And that's your opportunity to say, hey, the work wasn't done to my standard. And if you're getting those emails and you didn't think the work was done, but all of a sudden you have a satisfactory email for that work order, that's your opportunity to say, hey, wait a second, I don't feel like this is done. And then they will reach out to you. Whether it's the community center or whether it's the maintenance staff, but they will reach out to you when they see that, right? Also, if you don't get those emails, if you know, hey, they just finished a work order, like they left and it's been a day or two, reach out to your community manager and ask them, hey, why am I not getting those emails? Maybe they have the wrong email, maybe something's not caught up right in the system, but that's where we get your feedback, or they get your feedback, sorry. That's where the Michaels get your feedback. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next question.
Also, real quick, we also left some 3x5 cards in the back where you signed in at. If you don't feel comfortable coming to the mic or you have a follow-up question that just kind of jogs your memory, we will be collecting those and answering those in our report as well. Go ahead, sir.
Is there someone online? Or?
Not yet.
Okay. Hey, Colonel Choi, the new Doe Creek Mayor. Sir, Colonel Stewart, beautiful base. Seldom you'll ever see an Air Force guy say to an Army. Beautiful base.
You heard it here first.
So you heard it first. 21 years of installation management, including housing and public works officer. So I commend you all for doing a phenomenal job, a thankless job, and I do appreciate everything y'all are doing for the soldiers and airmen and Marines and sailors on this installation. So my question specifically is perhaps housing and maybe fire. We had a recent EV vehicle fire in Bowling housing, right? And I believe it was a phase level 2 charger. And so as I drive around, I see dozens of extension cord level 1 chargers into exterior outlets. Some pretty old outlets, probably outdated in terms of outdoor GFCI coverings. And so I don't think those level 1 chargers were intended for long-term use, but that's what it's turned into. So from a housing compliance perspective for EV vehicles, which will only grow well into the future since they're everywhere on the installation, is that a concern in terms of fire prevention as the houses get older and electrical infrastructure gets older and we keep on putting high demand EV vehicles into old electrical infrastructure? I yield back.
I can address it from the housing side. It's dying. It's dying. I'm pretty loud. Hopefully folks can hear me. So we do have an EV charger installation program in place. The EV chargers are installed for residents at no cost. The only difference is that they will receive a bill for the electricity. It's actually in violation of DoD policy to be plugging into the home electricity because that electric charge is not covered under the residential utility program. So when we see that, we address it with the residents, that they are to immediately cease charging their car that way and reach out to the electric company that we have in place, TRO Energy Solutions, to have a charger put in place. So we encourage all residents. Again, it's at no cost to you, and all you would do is charge for the electric that's through that portal to charge your vehicle. So we are addressing in that. We understand that not only is it a safety concern, there is a violation of policy there. So, we'll take a tour along all the villages, and we regularly do, but we'll pay some particular attention given your concerns.
No, it is a concern. I think our best step here is to educate better than we have been. I don't have any enforcement authority over that. In contractual housing, we have had those issues with government employees or soldiers or servicemen plugging into a government facility, which we can enforce. I don't have any oversight in the housing, but we can definitely work with villages, I think, and push that social media through public affairs and do some community outreach to better educate on the regulation and the requirement. But it does come down to the individual and their ownership and their responsibility, no different than lighting a candle. Who's responsible for it as a person who lit it, and that's tough, but that's real to the fact of us being adults and having to manage that. So it will take, I think, some courageous conversations to share with our neighbors and the understanding of what our responsibility is, doing things the right way, and properly in our homes and the regulations. Thanks for bringing it up. Those things in our community.
We do have a few from social media. First question is, will the Woodlawn neighborhood ever get repaving of roads? Also, we need painted lines along Plantation Drive.
Yeah, I do believe that repaving along Plantation, at least repairs in the places needed, is in our 2025 budget. That budget has not been approved yet. We are still working off the 2024, waiting for approval from the Pentagon, but Plantation and some repavement and painting is in the 2025 budget.
Okay, also, can we get an update on Barrett's mailboxes? And everybody jump at once.
No, that's me. We have ran into snag after snag, and I apologize to the residents and to all the leaders that are dealing with this. You take one step forward and two steps back. Everybody said that right? We thought we were there. Currently, we are trying to have a meeting with the Postmaster General for Fort Belvoir specifically. They have to turn the addresses back on. They were turned on at one point. There were some issues with compliance of the organizations having the proper trained mail handlers and coming and picking up the mail. Because there was more people not coming to pick up the mail than pick up the mail, then they turned off the addresses as we got the mailboxes all fixed and fitted. So we're meeting with them, and I'm not going to give a timeline this time because every time I give a timeline, it goes further back. But it is a concern that it's not just Belvoir that's tracking this. I'm briefing this up to the MCOM level. The MCOM CSM is adamantly aware of this problem and this situation, and it's something that for a light in this dark moment of discussion may change the way we do barracks mail for the Army, for all of Department of Defense. Currently, we are on an agreement that began back in the 50s, that was approved in the 80s, and it hasn't changed since 1983. So we have brought that to light, and it's starting to have a lot more discussion on we need to readdress this for all of Department of Defense. And unfortunately, I'm sorry to say that your soldiers are the ones that are having to figure out how to get mail because we don't have it fixed yet. And I apologize for that.
Sounds like a good article that we'll write later, though. Next question, last one for social media for now. When is the park near Dunkin' Donuts opening? That was liked by many people.
What was the question? The park?
The park?
No,
it just says park.
Yeah, the park that's right behind the skate park. So you got the skate park, and then you have a little playground.
Bottomless playground.
Bottomless.
Did you say bottomless?
No, bottomless. There's no pressure. There's no steps. Bottomless.
Oh yes, that one. That's MWR, yeah. Bottomless playground.
They say boundless against things.
Boundless. So what happened was years ago, the Department of Defense gifted to Fort Belvoir that playground. And so when they gifted it, they didn't say who owned it. So by fault, because we have ACS, we have the EFMP program, by default, MWR is overseeing it. Then comes into question the upkeep, because all that playground equipment's outside 24/7, so it gets beat up by the weather. And so what was the question?
When is it going to open?
Okay, so there's a lock on there now. Okay. I will take a look at it tomorrow, assess with safety what it is we need to do and what equipment we need to change out, and then I can give you a better date when that's going to be done. Because I think we can use QACS money to go ahead and repair it, or we know who else has deep pockets, DPW. But it's QACS, so it shouldn't be too expensive. But yeah, let me get back to you tomorrow and assess what's going on.
Floor is yours, ma'am.
Hi. I'm Juliana. I am a resident. Is it on? I don't understand.
Flip the switch back and forth.
Hello?
There's a delay.
Oh, there it goes. Okay. My name is Juliana. I'm a resident in George W. I have a question with a sort of kind of follow-up. It's all snow related. There was a lot of talk about driveways during the snow. I don't have a driveway. I have no dog and pony here, show, whatever. Are residents responsible? Because it seems like some people got their driveways plowed and other people's didn't, and I feel like it created a lot of problems in the neighborhoods, like either plow everyone's driveway that has a driveway or don't plow anyone's, because those who got theirs plowed, which I don't think should have been, got all the non-plowed driveways upset. Not alleyways, not streets, but their personal driveways.
As a standard practice, we would do the driveways of families that are enrolled in our deployment support program or have otherwise reached out for support. Our deployment support program is something we're really happy to be able to offer to families who the service member is out of the country or such. They enroll, and that is one of the benefits that we offer them. If it weren't for that, it could have been that our contractor who had subcontractors, that maybe they thought they had to do some, so they accidentally did some driveways.
I figured as much, but there was a lot of talk on the spouses pages, the neighborhood pages, etc. Like, why does mine was done? Well, mine wasn't. Who's come to do mine? It's 150 feet long. Like, just to know what the answer is. So the answer is everyone's responsible for their driveway except for. And then my second question, follow-up sort of, is I don't know if it was a contract of a subcontract of a subcontractor, but whoever was in charge of the George W. Community Center area at like 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m., had children shoveling with the adults at night. And I feel like that's probably against the law, like to be with a contractor having tiny humans shoveling in the middle of the night.
I was not aware of that. I don't think anyone on our team was aware of that, so we will definitely reach out to our contractor to look further into that. And we do have a way of doing corrective action notices to vendors when they violate.
Or they had really small employees that were this big in hot pink swimsuits with little tiny shovels, not shoveling like all of the yellow suited people were. So
yeah, thanks for alerting us to that.
And my ring doorbell's solid. So I was like, what is that noise at 3 o'clock in the morning at midnight, whatever. I'm like, I'm grateful that it was done, but then I was like, they seem a little short. And then in our neighborhood village website, Facebook page, it was, thanks to the children out shoveling snow in the middle of the night, we really appreciate it. And I'm like, oh no, those are small children shoveling snow.
Thank you for that. We'll definitely look into that. And we'll share back with the Garrison team what we found on that.
Any other questions currently?
Sorry, I have a list. I'm checking them off, I promise. So over the little winter storm we had, ladies and gentlemen, there was a few areas within Virginia that had issues with water and water treatment, specifically Richmond. While that was occurring, there were a few messages brought up within my community in George Washington about the water smelling or tasting really funny, and we had a few people coming back with their kids getting sick. And to be a little more personal, my wife and 2 of my kids got sick, and they were told by the clinic on post that they had been exposed to E. coli. I don't know if something officially has been brought up, but I thought that since this is, drinking water that everyone on post has access to, is there any way that we can do water testing or something along those lines to ensure that the water has not been contaminated given the harsh weather we've had?
Yeah, so the water that for the installation is Fairfax water, and it's provided by the Fairfax Authority treatment plants. And they do both the water and the wastewater here on installation. We are tracking that there was some conversation about the smell of the water and that sort of thing. Fairfax County does routine testing on all the water, and when that messaging came out, we did engage Fairfax Water, and they did do additional testing and found that all of the water was safe. So I guess I don't know if there may be some other factor that may have contributed to that. It could be as simple as individual appliances in a specific house that may have issues or corrosion or some sort of entry point where contamination is getting in there. It could be something as simple as that. So it's hard to kind of put a finger on it because it's more of an individual sort of scenario. However, Fairfax County did confirm that they did do testing and they found everything to be meeting the regulatory requirements. And those results are posted online, so anybody can go online and see exactly what those testing metrics are at any given time. So I encourage folks to do that to help provide a little bit of reassurance that they're doing what they're supposed to do in terms of compliance.
Thank you, sir. If no one else has another question, I only have one more. A couple community members have brought up being told of a new policy change at the gates for the entry of minors, specifically that if they are 16 and older now instead of 18 and older, they have to provide identification. I was wondering if that is the new policy, where can we find that so we can educate our people so we don't run into a problem of having to turn around and find another person to bring identification back to the gate.
Nope.
Do you want to take that, or you want me to take that? No, you got it. Come on.
Access for children.
This is Chief Keith Lee Watts. He is our physical security chief.
Sir, my son is. My name is Keith Lee Watts, Chief Physical Security. You were saying if there's a change in it?
Yes, so the policy that I'd understood for the last several decades of being in is that 18 and over requires a DoD ID or an authorized pass to get on post, and underage they do not require physical identification.
So the minors do not, 17 and below, because they're still students, and we cannot run a 17-year-old in NCIC. So an 18-year-old will usually have a driver's license. Some have a driver's license at 17 years old, but the regulation has not changed. So it is still going to be 18 and above. But everybody 17 and below do not require a pass. They should have an ID card already if they are dependents. If they're not dependents, a lot of them still have a school ID, so they'll be able to get sponsored, but not by that 17-year-old. They'll be sponsored by an adult. And that is where a lot of confusions come in, because we cannot take a 17-year-old or a younger kid and take their driver's license and run them in NCIC. That's what we cannot do. So we'll be in violation, and then they can pull our complete NCIC licenses that we have. And once we do that, then we're going to be pretty much out of luck at the gates when we're trying to run people and get passes of individuals. So that has not changed. There are some updates coming up to AR 190-13, but as far as I understand, they have not changed that as yet. That is still remaining the same.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
The last one.
Yes, ma'am.
This is our last question, everybody. Anything that's not asked, you can submit those in writing, or we're taking all the ones on Facebook Live, and we will be answering all those that we receive.
All right, good evening, sir. Sar Major, thank you for your time. Thank you to all the panelists. My name is Chinier, and I am a resident of Fort Belvoir. Great installation. My question is more about the BAH. So I think this is the second duty station I've lived at, and my question is more of, each year when we get a BAH raise, of course, that means we lose all of our BAH as the year starts off. What we don't get as residents is the why. So nothing has changed in the structure where we live, but as the BAH rates go up, we lose everything to rent. So I just wanted to find out if someone could please share the why.
That's gonna be right there. That's
So the reason for that is that's how all of the projects are structured across DoD. It doesn't matter whether it's an Air Force base, an Army base, Marine Corps base, whatever. The rent you pay is based on your pay grade. And so when you get a pay raise, and your BAH goes up, or if you get a promotion and your BAH goes up, that's what you pay. I don't know of a single project out there that varies from that. So I think they were structured that way. Of course, I'm looking back 20 years, actually longer than that. 96 is when they started a lot of the privatization projects. They structured them that way because the way that they convinced some of the companies to go into these projects was they had to guarantee an income stream. And so the income stream is built on a model, which is, okay, at Belvoir we have, here's the manpower model, and it's broken down by a certain structure. And so all the cash flows that come out of the project are based on that model and the BAH stream. And that's how they had to pick something to build a model to go forward. So that's how it's set up everywhere. Do I anticipate that changing? No.
I think there might be another way to look at it. Because it's a privatized residential partner, that you get your BAH and then it goes directly to them. If this was Army family housing or Army owned, you just simply wouldn't get BAH. So it's kind of the same thing, really, if you think about it.
That goes other ways also. Like our BH, my BH dropped this year, but I'm not paying what I was paying before either. So it goes, there's a lot of science and words that I don't have here that we can probably get to you guys and share the citation for where the rules are broken down. But it's in policy on how we subsidize, how we control that. because that money is there provided to a service member to take care of their families, to give them somewhere to live, whether they're receiving BH through to pay the RCI to the partner, or even if you're in Army-owned housing, like there's still an amount of money that it costs for that, and that money is given to take care of those homes. But I will do some research with the housing team, and we'll provide that citation as well, because I think that's an opportunity for you guys to look into it as well and understand.
Thank you, everyone. To everybody in social media, real quick, the next town hall is April 16th. Go ahead and mark it on your calendars. And Sir Sergeant Major, any closing remarks?
You know, we promised to get everybody out of here on time, so I just wanted to thank everybody that came out here in person and everybody that's out there on Facebook Live for chiming in, because this is important. It's important to get your feedback, and I know it's difficult to block off 90 minutes out of a school night evening in order to do this. So I just want to say thanks to everybody. There's a lot of great questions that were asked here today. I acknowledge we probably didn't get around to all of the questions, so for those that we didn't talk through tonight, you know, the team will grab those, go back and research and get you an answer back, and we'll publish those answers as well to keep everybody in the know. But again, our why, the reason why we exist is to provide world-class support and services to all of you all and your families, and that's what we're focused on. So hopefully coming out here tonight and answer some questions and hear about some of the initiatives that the installation is providing for you was helpful and beneficial to you and help shaping your understanding on what we do every day to help the families out here on Fort Belvoir. But that being said, you know, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you for the team for coming out, fielding these questions and providing information, and for those that were key in putting this event on today. So I want to thank you guys as well. And hopefully everybody will have a great rest of the week and a pretty awesome hump day tomorrow. So thanks for everybody for coming out.
Yeah, I have some